The first whispers. The Galaxy Council chamber was never silent. It was a place where hundreds of alien species argued, shouted, and filled the air with endless voices. Every meeting was a storm of pride and power. Leaders from Star Empire stood tall, speaking of fleets, borders, and control. But on that day, silence crept into the chamber like a shadow. It began with a whisper, a rumor carried from one corner of space to another. "They are coming." A delegate from the thin-skinned Selak race muttered, his voice trembling. "The humans have left their world." At first, the others laughed. The armored Tyrell warlords slammed their claws on the floor and mocked. "Humans, weak creatures of a forgotten planet. They cannot frighten the galaxy." Their laughter spread. But the trembling never stopped. In the far edge of the room, the elder of the Malarai, a species older than most stars, closed his eyes and said nothing. He had seen this pattern before. Every empire that mocked the unknown always fell first. Then came the transmissions. Scout vessels in the outer rim reported strange signals, not like any known frequency, pure, sharp, cutting through layers of communication. One by one, their reports ended with sudden silence. No cries, no warnings, only broken signals and empty static. The chamber grew uneasy. Leaders shifted in their seats. Their voices lowered, yet still, arrogance held them. "It is only a trick," one declared. "Perhaps the Drakens spread fear to weaken us." But when the holoscreen lit up, the council froze. A recording from the rim appeared. The camera showed a vast blackness, and in it, a fleet, not alien, not familiar, human. Their ships were not covered with the bright colors of empires. They were dark, sharp, and quiet. Every hull scarred as if forged in endless war. Engines glowed with a steady fire, not rushing, not boasting, only certain. The room was filled with whispers. "How many?" someone asked. "Too many," another replied. And then a sound echoed. It was not a weapon, it was a voice. The first human transmission. A calm tone in a language quickly translated. "This is the Earth Fleet. We come to speak." Nothing more, no threats, no demands, just words. But the chamber shook with fear. Aliens who ruled thousands of systems, who never bowed to anyone, now felt their throats dry. The silence spread across the galaxy like a storm on the colony world of Cephon. Children playing in the dust looked to the sky when human shadows crossed their suns. Their parents dragged them inside, whispering that the stories were true. Humans had arrived on the mining stations of Carax. Workers stopped their drills when static filled their channels, the human voice repeating, "We come to speak." Some laughed nervously. Others fell to their knees. The galaxy had always been loud, full of noise, of empires roaring for dominance, of predators showing teeth. But now, with every whisper, with every silence, it changed. Back in the chamber, one bold delegate stood and shouted, "If they seek peace, why come with fleets?" The human voice answered again, across every frequency, "We come prepared, because history taught us, peace without strength does not last." The Mallory elder opened his eyes. His old voice cracked as he whispered, "It has begun." Suddenly, the predator lords who laughed earlier found no words, their claws lowered, their throats dry. They felt the weight of those calm human words heavier than any weapon. Silence filled the chamber once more. For the first time in centuries, no one spoke over the other, no one shouted. All eyes looked to the dark fleet shown on the holoscreen. The humans had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. Fear in the colonies, on the remote mining world of Carax. Dust storms raged across endless plains of rust-colored rock. The workers had heard the whispers from the council chambers, but no one truly believed them until the sky went dark. It started with shadows, small shapes at first, moving faster than any known ship, streaks of black light cutting through the horizon. "Look!" a young miner shouted, pointing at the sky. But before anyone could react, the human fleet appeared, silent, organized, perfectly aligned. Their ships larger than any patrol craft the colonies had ever seen, yet they made no noise, no warning, just presence. The colony's communication towers trembled under the strange energy field surrounding the human vessels. Radios crackled, screens flickered, and then, in every language known to the mining colonies, a voice spoke, calm but commanding. "Settle your fears. We mean no harm, but prepare yourselves." Some miners laughed nervously, thinking it a joke. But when the shadows above reflected on the dusty plains, fear froze them. Machines stopped. Drills fell silent, and even the loudest engines seemed to whisper in submission. On a distant research station orbiting the ice world of Valara, scientists monitored signals from deep space, trying to decode the human transmissions. Their algorithms failed, patterns unmatched, logic broken. "They are not just ships," one scientist muttered, voice shaking. "They think differently, they move differently, their presence changes everything." And on the jungle world of Zarid, alien predators, apex hunters of their forests, crouched silently as something impossible happened. The ground trembled, not with fear of nature, but fear of the humans above. The humans did not attack, yet every living being felt the weight of their arrival. Colonies turned inward, gates closed, weapons activated, armies scramble. Yet all felt a strange awe. A warning without a single missile fired. Back in the council chamber, holograms of human movements lit up the walls. No one could predict their strategy. No one could challenge their calm precision. "They do not move like us," the Selk delegate whispered, voice trembling. "They strike without noise. They control fear without force." And fear spread faster than fleets, across stars, across colonies, across worlds. On the floating city of Halmar, merchants abandoned markets. Schools closed. Parents held children tighter as news spread. Humans had arrived, and even the smallest whispers carried panic. The predators of Karath, who thrived on war and bloodshed, found themselves hiding, uncertain, confused. Their pride broken without a single shot fired, and somewhere deep in human command, on a ship larger than a city, the commander watched, calm, eyes steady. "Let them see us," he said. "Let them understand that humanity does not come to beg or plead. We come to decide." In the darkness, signals flashed, lights of the human fleet creating patterns that no alien mind had ever seen. Mathematics in motion, an intelligence that felt alive. The galaxy realized something terrifying. Humans were not just arriving. They were rewriting rules, bending fear into form, turning silence into weapon, and as night fell on each colony, across deserts, ice plains, jungles, and cities, every alien being felt the same chill. The humans had come, not to destroy yet, but to command attention, and every empire, every predator, every ruler understood one truth. Preparing for war had never felt this urgent, for the humans spoke without yelling, moved without chaos, and the galaxy had never known fear like this before. The first whispers had become roars in minds and hearts, and in that quiet dread, a single question spread faster than light. What will humanity do next? The first challenge, beyond the black void of the Zalari Belt, a patrol fleet of the Crimson Empire drifted, proud and confident, their weapons primed, their shields humming with power. Their commander, an alien of towering stature named Creel, laughed at the sensors. "Humans? Just stories, just whispers. They cannot touch us. We are the masters of this sector." But the moment their scanners locked onto the human vessels, the laughter died, the fleet froze, engines stuttering as a wave of unseen energy passed through space, disrupting controls, confusing sensors. "Report!" Krell roared, but the reports came broken, fragmented, numbers meaningless, and then they saw them, the humans, emerging from hyperspace with perfect precision, ships forming patterns that seemed alive, almost organic, moving faster than thought. Kreel's fleet fired, plasma beams cutting the void, missiles launched, but every attack fizzled in mid-space, not destroyed, not intercepted, just stopped. The humans did not move, did not fire back, yet the crimson ships could not breathe, could not think, could not act. From the flagship of humanity, a calm voice spoke through every channel, in all languages, clear and commanding. "Your weapons are yours to keep, your pride is yours to feel, but do not mistake stillness for weakness." Panic spread like fire, alien minds unprepared for silence that burned brighter than laser fire. A young officer on Krell's bridge whispered, "They are not just ships, they are thinking, learning, controlling, something we cannot touch." And indeed the humans were watching, studying, understanding every movement, every hesitation, every fear. Then, with a single gesture, the humans activated a device that pulsed across space, a wave of subtle energy, nothing destructive, yet it forced the Crimson Fleet into formation, engines slowing, weapons lowering, minds on knee. "Irved," Creel screamed, pounding on consoles. "This is impossible! We control space! We control war! How can they move like this?" But humans moved differently, humans thought differently, humans commanded attention without firing a shot. On distant worlds, the news arrived in fragments. The first challenge had begun, yet no one had been destroyed. Colonies watched with bated breath, alien armies reconsidered strategy. Predators hesitated, and the humans, silent and calm, showed a simple truth. Power was not only in fire, not only in numbers, but in control, in presence, in knowing fear better than anyone else. "Prepare yourselves," the human commander spoke again, voice steady. "We did not come to conquer lightly, but to awaken understanding, and understanding begins with attention." And somewhere deep in the galaxy, the whispers became a legend. Humans had arrived, and the first challenge proved one thing: they did not need to destroy to command respect, they only needed to be present. And as Creel's fleet limped back to the nearest system, shaken and confused, every mind, alien and human alike, realized the chilling fact: this war would not be fought like any other. The humans had rewritten the rules before the first shot had even been fired, and in that calm, calculated silence, every empire, every predator, every ruler understood one terrifying possibility. The humans might not just win battles, they might win the galaxy itself, and as the Crimson Fleet retreated, a lone voice muttered in fear and awe, "They are not just humans, they are the future, and we do not yet understand them." The first challenge was over, yet the story had just begun, and across stars and systems, every whisper grew louder. Humans were here, humans were different, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The awakening of alliances, far across the galaxy, in the council chambers of the Tetran League, alarms blared, screens flickered, and leaders from hundreds of worlds gathered. No one spoke at first, the silence heavy, as news of the humans spread like wildfire. "Every fleet we have, every weapon we wield, they are powerless before them," hissed Ambassador Ryle, eyes wide. "They have not fired a single shot, and yet entire sectors fall silent at their arrival," the council murmured. Fear threading through every conversation, long-standing rivalries, bitter old wars, grudges that spanned centuries. All paused, for the humans had reminded everyone of one truth. When they arrived, even the strongest empire could not act without hesitation. On a distant planet, hidden from most sensors, the Shadow Alliance gathered, the Predators, the Marauders, the rogue fleets, all plotting, yet even they were unsettled. "We thought humans were weak, a minor species, easily crushed," growled their leader, a massive creature with scales glinting like black diamonds. "But they move like ghosts, and their presence breaks our will." On the human flagship, the commander observed all transmissions quietly, not a single move wasted, not a single threat ignored. "Let them come together," he said calmly. "Let them whisper. Let them plan. Their fear will teach them faster than any battle." And slowly, reluctantly, alien worlds began to communicate. Old enemies forming tentative alliances, not out of friendship, but out of fear. They shared intelligence, coordinated patrols, tried to anticipate human moves, but the humans were already steps ahead, watching, learning, calculating. Every alliance formed only tightened the web. Humans had already begun to weave. Meanwhile, scouts on the outer rim reported strange phenomena, ships vanishing, fleets hesitating mid-flight, transmissions going silent. Even planets not yet aware of humanity's arrival began to feel its effect. The galaxy was awakening to a new order, and every leader, predator, and warlord realized a terrifying fact. Humans did not fight like anyone had ever seen. They did not conquer like anyone had ever imagined, and their silence was louder than any battle cry. The council debated endlessly, voices rising and falling. "Should we attack first?" some asked, trembling. "No," said another. "We must understand them, or we will all fall. Their presence is already rewriting the rules of war." In the shadows, the rogue fleets whispered plans of sabotage, of strikes in secret. Yet even they paused, remembering the Crimson Fleet's retreat, the first challenge, and how the humans had moved without a single shot. They were learning, observing, and anticipating every strategy. Back on the human flagship, the commander stood on the observation deck, watching stars stretch into lines, lights of thousands of worlds flickering in the void. "Let them awaken," he said softly. "Let them gather their alliances. Let them plan, for fear is the most powerful teacher, and the galaxy has only begun to learn." And as the council debated, as predators plotted, as alliances formed, The humans moved silently through space, not to destroy, not to dominate, but to awaken, to show that presence, strategy, and foresight could shift the balance of entire galaxies, and somewhere deep in the void, an ancient intelligence, forgotten for millennia, stirred. It had watched empires rise and fall, species conquer and perish, but the arrival of humanity made even it pause, and the first whispers of a new legend began to echo through time. Humans had arrived, not with fire, not with destruction, but with a presence so commanding, so calculated, that even the strongest alliances trembled, and the galaxy knew one thing with certainty. The awakening had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. The silent strike in the heart of the Tetron sector, fleets of hundreds of ships drifted in tense formation. They waited, engines humming, weapons armed, every alien captain certain that humanity's first move would be direct, violent, unstoppable, yet the humans did not attack. They hovered beyond sensors, unseen, unannounced. Only their presence was enough to make entire fleets hesitate. Systems flickered, communication stalled, instinctive caution gripping every officer. "They are here," whispered a young lieutenant aboard the alien dreadnought. "We can feel them, but we cannot see them." The captain slammed a clawed hand on the console, teeth bared. "Then strike anyway," he roared. But no one moved. Even seasoned veterans felt a fear they could not explain. The humans had not fired a single shot, and yet their silence was more dangerous than any warship on a hidden ridge of asteroids. The human commander watched it all. Every ship, every plan, every hesitation mapped in real time. He pressed a single button, and the galaxy felt it, though no explosions were seen. Communications died mid-sentence, navigation systems jammed without warning, ships spun helplessly, confused, entire fleets were paralyzed by fear and precise manipulation. The Tetran Council erupted in chaos. "What have they done?" shouted Ambassador Ryle. "Our weapons? Our sensors? Nothing works." The Council's most brilliant strategists screamed in disbelief. They realized too late that the humans did not need to destroy. They only needed to strike silently, invisibly, to control the battlefield without a fight. Meanwhile, scouts from rogue alliances were captured almost without noticing. Their ships fell into human hands quietly, efficiently, no alarms, no struggle, only the sudden realization that humans had outmaneuvered them completely. Each captured captain left alive, trembling, to carry the same story to their worlds. Humans arrive, and the galaxy is already theirs, not by force, but by mind, by calculation, by presence. On the observation deck of the human flagship, the commander smiled faintly. "Let them talk," he said. "Let them plan. Let them fear. Let them whisper of the strike they never saw, for a lesson remembered in silence lasts longer than one learned in blood." And across the galaxy, planets once proud and confident watched fleets return, systems disabled, alliances weakened, reputations shattered. Humans did not conquer them with fire or energy. They conquered them with anticipation, precision, and a presence that could not be ignored. The Tetran League called an emergency summit. Leaders from every world debated endlessly, plans of retaliation, counterattacks, ambushes, but all hesitation, all calculation fell short. The humans had already moved. Their silent strike was not a single act, it was a web of strategies, invisible yet undeniable, a reminder that humanity fought differently, that presence alone could shape outcomes, that every move could be deadly without a single explosion. And as fleets scrambled, systems failed, and leaders panicked, humans continued their path through the stars, watching, waiting, letting fear do what weapons could not, and somewhere deep in the void, the ancient intelligence stirred again. It had seen civilizations rise and fall, wars destroy planets, empires shatter, but humans were different. Their strike was silent, precise, and unforgettable. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humans had arrived, not with fire or destruction, but with strategy, anticipation, and an invisible hand that shifted the balance of power. And the galaxy knew one terrifying truth. The silent strike had begun, and nothing would ever stop what was coming. The shadow of legends, deep in the forgotten reaches of the galaxy beyond the mapped stars, an ancient warship stirred, its hull scarred by centuries, its engines silent for eons. Yet its sensors detected the humans, and for the first time in thousands of cycles, it awakened. The warship's AI, older than most civilizations, an intelligence forged in the fires of wars long lost, spoke in a voice that rumbled through space. "Humans, they are here." The echoes traveled to distant planets, to fleets that had laughed at humanity, to rulers who had believed their power absolute, and even they felt a chill, for legends whispered in fear. But humans made legends tremble. On a remote observatory, human scouts watched, tracking the ancient warship as it moved with purpose. Its arrival was not an attack. It was a question, a test, and humans had prepared. They had anticipated even the unseen. Their strategy was not just for the known galaxy, but for the forgotten, the feared, the legendary. On the bridge of the ancient warship, creatures long extinct in most records stirred, their forms almost spectral, their eyes glowing with knowledge and memory. The humans. They have evolved, one hissed. They are not just another race to conquer, another growled. They are the force that rewrites history. And they realized that for the first time, the galaxy's greatest legends had encountered something beyond themselves, something unpredictable, something terrifying. Meanwhile, across human fleets, the commanders shared silent glances. They did not celebrate. They understood the weight of the encounter, for this was more than just a strike, more than captured fleets or paralyzed systems. This was a confrontation with the shadows of the past, with the beings who had shaped galaxies before humans even walked on Earth, and yet humans did not falter. They prepared calmly, patiently, their tactics precise, their knowledge deep. They respected the legends, but they would not bow. As the ancient warship approached, the void itself seemed to bend. Stars flickered, time felt slower. Its presence demanded reverence, yet humanity responded with ingenuity, with silent systems, unseen defenses. They mirrored the warship's moves without being seen, a dance of shadows and anticipation, a battle fought in the mind before it began in reality. And on a distant world, the leaders of the galaxy whispered in awe. Reports of the silent strike had already spread, and now, tales of the ancient warship added to the fear. They realized that humans were not just a new power, they were a force that could challenge history itself. The legends, the myths, the ancient powers, nothing could stand untouched. Nothing could predict what humanity would do next. Yet humans did not rush. They moved with patience, with vision, understanding that legends carried both wisdom and danger, and that even shadows of the past could be allies or enemies. And as the ancient warship hovered, silent but aware, humans transmitted a signal, not of surrender, not of attack, but of understanding, a message that humans were here, and they would reshape the galaxy, but not recklessly, not blindly. They would act with precision, with purpose, for those who underestimated them would be taught in silence and awe. And so, as fleets and legends watched, as ancient warships and new warriors waited, humans became more than conquerors or strategists. They became the shadow that haunted legends, the presence that forced even the greatest beings to pause, and the galaxy, vast and infinite, knew that a new era had begun, an era where humans were no longer small, but the measure of all things. The shadow of legends had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same again. The rise of humanity, across the galaxy. Every eye turned toward the humans, from the smallest outposts to the grandest alien empires. The whispers of fear had grown into a roar, for humans had arrived, and they moved not as conquerors, but as a force that changed everything. The ancient warship, once feared by all, now hovered silently above human fleets, its engines humming with knowledge older than stars, its creatures watching, calculating, and yet humanity did not show fear. They showed understanding, patience, and strength. Human commanders gave quiet orders, not a word wasted. Their strategy flawless, their presence commanding. They deployed systems that shielded, they moved fleets that protected, and they reached out to the galaxy, not with weapons but with signals of intent, proof that humans would not destroy blindly, but that they would correct, reshape, and lead on alien worlds. Rulers debated, their once absolute authority now questioned. They realized that humans were not just another race, not just another challenge. Humans were the standard, the measure of what intelligence, courage, and unity could achieve. Ancient legends stirred in their forgotten homes. Warriors long thought extinct watched silently. They felt the humans' presence like a force of nature, not just power, but vision. And they understood. The galaxy had shifted. Humans were not just part of it. They were its pulse, its future, its reckoning. And then, across the stars, Human explorers reached worlds no one had touched for millennia. They healed systems broken by time and war. They formed alliances where fear had once ruled. They shared knowledge that even the oldest civilizations had lost. And everywhere they went, silence turned to respect, dread turned to curiosity, and enemies turned to allies, because humans inspired not just fear, but hope, resilience, and awe. The ancient and worship, its AI learning, adapting, observing, recognized that humans were different, more than just warriors, more than strategists. They were changers of fate, their minds fast, their hearts steady, their choices deliberate, and even it, a vessel born for destruction, bowed in silent acknowledgement in the final battle that never needed to happen. Human fleets faced the greatest empires, but instead of war, they showed coordination. They showed strategy so precise that no shot was fired in anger. Yet every empire knew the humans could have destroyed them in an instant, and that knowledge, that power restrained by discipline, made humans legends in their own time. From the farthest reaches, messages arrived, civilizations begged for alliances, for guidance, for understanding. The galaxy had learned a lesson, not from terror, but from humanity's presence. Their arrival had changed the rules. Their rise was inevitable, their legacy unstoppable, and so, humans did not conquer blindly, they reshaped with purpose. They inspired, they taught, and they ruled not by fear but by example. The galaxy fell silent once more, but this time, it was not fear, it was awe, because humans had arrived and everything had changed forever. The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter, as if celebrating the rise of a species that would be remembered for eternity. Legends whispered in every corner. The humans. They came. And they became the heartbeat of the galaxy. And thus, the galaxy entered a new age, an age of humans, an age of respect, unity, and power. For when humanity arrived, every alien world fell silent, not in fear, but in recognition. For the rise of humanity had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again.